Hello and welcome to the Riyal Deal, coming to you from the Al Arabiya English studios. This is your weekly bulletin, bringing you all the latest business news headlines and analysis from Saudi Arabia. Coming up, in a major step towards full market liberalization, Saudi Arabia opens its equity market to foreign investors. We'll be discussing the significance of that announcement. And as oil markets digest recent events in Venezuela, we ask what impact, if any, could this have on the Saudi economy? And with plans for 2 Trump real estate projects in Riyadh, plus a Trump tower in Jeddah, we speak to the 2 men bringing these projects to life, Eric Trump and the CEO of DarGlobal, Ziad al-Chaar. And some 300,000 people in Saudi Arabia gave up smoking last year. This as the country moves towards a future in which smoking is not the norm. Now, straight to our top story. Saudi Arabia has removed long-standing restrictions on the market access and opened up its equity market for foreign investors. Well, this means that non-residents will be able to trade directly on the main exchange from the 1st of February. Well, this lowering of entry barriers is seen as a major step towards full market liberalization, and it's hoped that attracting foreign inflows will have the effect of breathing new life into the stock market. Well, Saudi equities rallied on the news, with analysts saying that the reform could pave the way for billions of dollars in future investment. Well, we're joined now by Cornelia Meyer, who is the Economist and CEO of Meyer Resources. She joins us from Bern in Switzerland. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. Let's start by talking about this announcement of a lowering of the barriers to entry and the relaxation of rules relating to foreign investors in Saudi Arabia. How significant do you think this is?
I think it's very significant. And first of all, hello, Happy New Year, and thank you for having me. But it's very significant. You had especially also the allowance of more investment into the real estate sector is important because the kingdom is underinvested, woefully underinvested in real estate. They say they need something like 600,000 homes. I think they need more. And you know, with homes, there is then electricity, roads, water, sewage, all of this. So these are major, major investments. So this is good. And we saw, you know, a few decades back, Dubai did this and the UAE did this, and it really gave a kickstart to the real estate sector. So I'm excited about this. I'm also excited about some of the restrictions that you had on capital markets and investments, which are going away. So I think this will be big. You saw in September when they announced they would do this, when the Financial Markets Authority announced they would do it, the stock market immediately went up. So I expect this to be very good news for the kingdom indeed.
Okay, well, that's a good positive note to start on. A top story we've had our eye across here at Al Arabiya for the last few days has, of course, been Venezuela. Lots to say there. And, of course, we're talking about the country with the largest known oil reserves in the world. Do you think developments there are having any particular impact on oil markets and, in turn, on the Saudi economy?
In the short run, no, because whilst Venezuela is a whale when it comes to reserves, they're a mere midget when it comes to production. You know, according to OPEC, in November, they produced 934,000 barrels a day. Is less than 1% of global production. So that will not move the needle at all. What might move the needle somewhat is what we've seen with the two shadow fleet ships which were, you know, occupied. One of them, despite having a Russian flag, because that must make Iran and Russia a little bit worried in terms of how they can move their crude. However, you know, as I said to you before, one swallow a summer does not make. So, you know, out of hundreds and hundreds of shadow vessels, 2 are not that big.
Okay, well, good to get your thoughts on that. Now, just looking ahead to the year ahead, the 2026 borrowing plan has now been approved for this fiscal year, and that's going to cover the projected budget deficit for the year. What are your overall thoughts about the year ahead for Saudi Arabia? And I'm just wondering as well whether you see oil prices further affecting the budget calculations.
I never predict oil prices. That's one thing I've learned in many, many years of looking at oil markets. That's one thing I've learned not to do. Yes, but oil prices do matter. But, 2024 and 2025 were the first 2 years where the Saudi GDP, there was less oil contribution to Saudi GDP than from other sectors. So in other words, Vision 2030 is starting to firmly gain hold. So I think that's that. In terms of borrowing capacity, Saudi is at about 36% debt to GDP by the end of this year. So it's, compare that to Japan, compare that to the US, compare that to anybody else. They have huge debt capacity. They're doing the right thing. And it's not just covering the deficit, it's also covering the debt service, which I think is very important to see that they cover both.
Okay. Just looking at the situation in Iran, any thoughts there as far as impact and spillover?
Well, Iran can move the needle way more than Venezuela because, again, according to OPEC statistics, in November 2025, they produced 3.22 million barrels a day. That's roughly around 3% of global production. That's a little bit more. But it's not just about how much oil is produced, where is the oil going. It's also about stability because we're very lucky in the Middle East to have GCC, to have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to have UAE, to have Kuwait, Oman, which are bastions of stability. But other than that, look at Iraq. Look at Syria. Still, Syria is difficult. Look at Yemen. This is not the most stable region in the world. So we don't want to see another. I think nobody in the Middle East, in particular, wants to see another island of instability in what is already not that easy a region.
Sure, and when we look at the fluctuations in oil prices and how they're so severely affected by geopolitical events thousands of miles away, just goes to show, doesn't it, that the bid to diversify the Saudi economy and grow non-oil activity, so important, isn't it?
It's important, and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is a real visionary. He set that out about 10 years ago, the Vision 2030, and that's really what needed to happen. And it is not just bid to diversify away. It's also where we're consuming more oil than we ever did. But the world is changing, and other sources of energy are becoming important as well. So making sure you are not a one-trick pony is an extremely important thing, and all we can do is congratulate His Royal Highness the Crown Prince on that.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. Cornelia Meyer, Economist and CEO of Meyer Resources, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much indeed.
Let's get a brief check of some of the other stories we're following for you now. Saudi Basic Industries Corp, the world's largest petrochemicals maker, is selling 2 overseas businesses for a combined $950 million. SABIC says the divestments will sharpen focus on higher return segments, free up capital, and maintain strategic market access. Business confidence in Saudi Arabia continued to strengthen in December, with the index rising 2.2% to 62 points. That is well above the neutral level. Official data shows that optimism across key non-oil sectors, including industry, services and construction, and it's driven by stronger expectations for sales, investment and employment. According to the Ministry of Commerce, more than 486,000 commercial registries were issued over the course of the past year, bringing the total number of active businesses in the kingdom to more than 1.8 million. Well, company registrations were up 20% in 2025 compared to the previous year. AI, tourism, cybersecurity, and virtual reality all saw a sharp uptick, highlighting the push towards diversification across the Saudi economy. Saudi Arabia's national maritime fleet grew by 32% in 2025, placing the kingdom second amongst G20 countries for fleet growth. Well, the increase reflects rapid development in the maritime sector, very much in line with the National Transport and Logistics Strategy, which aims to position Saudi Arabia as a global logistics hub. And according to the aviation analytics firm Cirium, the national carrier Saudia ranked second globally for on-time arrivals in 2025. The airline recorded 86.5% punctuality rate across more than 200,000 flights. Well, the ranking is seen as a reflection of operational efficiency, and it supports the kingdom's growing tourism ambitions under Vision 2030. Now, a Trump Tower is planned for the coastal city of Jeddah, and DarGlobal, the real estate developer, has officially awarded the main works contract for that project to the Arabian construction company. Well, the 47-story building will become one of the tallest towers in Jeddah. Well, there are two other Trump-branded projects planned for Riyadh. Well, I sat down with Eric Trump, the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, and Ziad Al-Chaar, who is the CEO of DarGlobal. All together, these two men are working hand in hand to bring these projects to life. Well, we're joined here by Eric Trump, who is the executive vice president of the Trump Organization. A very warm welcome to you. We're also joined by Ziad Al-Chaar, who is the chief executive of DarGlobal. Let me start by asking you, Mr. Trump, how many years have you been coming to Saudi Arabia, and how have you seen the skyline of cities like Riyadh evolve over the years?
I've been coming to the Middle East for many years, 20 plus years, and I've been coming to Saudi for 6-7 years at this point. Been here many, many times, and love the country, love the people, love the projects that we're embarking on. Dar, Ziad, the entire team, they're incredible. They're the best in the world at what they do, and we're partnered in a lot of different places, but we had an unbelievable success in Jeddah, as I think you know very well. We're building one of the most beautiful buildings anywhere in the world in Jeddah, right on the water. We're incredibly proud of it. Obviously, we're coming into Riyadh in a very big way right now. We're working on other projects in the region. In Oman, spectacular, spectacular project. That's hotel, golf course, as well as an incredible hotel in Dubai. And so we're doing a lot of things together and others, and incredibly proud of it. But we love everything we're doing in Saudi. The country has treated us unbelievably well. The growth, the explosive growth in the country is incredible. What they're doing right here in Riyadh, the vision for Riyadh is unbelievable. I'd say it rivals anything anywhere in the world, and we're incredibly proud to be here.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about some of the projects in detail in just a moment, but have you ever seen so many massive projects being launched simultaneously, or as are happening right here in Saudi Arabia right now?
Yeah, so I was driving last night, and I tapped my wife on the leg, and I said, look at that skyline. You know, I've never seen so many cranes in my life, and I've seen the boom of Dubai, and I've seen the boom of a lot of different places, and what they're doing with the Diriyah project is unbelievable. The scale, the scope, the level of detail that they're going in, the excavation of the rock to literally use in every single wall, the preservation of the old kind of, castles, and I mean, it's really an incredible thing that they're doing, and they're doing it with tremendous heart and soul, and I think a lot of people from around the world should look at that project and see what they're doing, because that's going to set a great benchmark for so much of the world.
Ziad, let me turn to you. We've spoken in the past, and it's great to have you on the show again. But I'm told a lot of your ideas, both of your ideas together, are born on the golf course. Just tell us how the partnership with the Trump Organization came about.
So the interest in the brand started a long time ago, because when you want to do a golf project around the globe today, you only have one brand to look at, which is the Trump Organization. So this started a long time ago with golf in the region. And obviously, when we wanted to do more golf projects, you have one brand of luxury, exclusivity, and delivery for the customer. Not only luxury and exclusivity, it's a brand that delivers to the people who are enjoying those houses and golf courses and golf clubs.
Okay, and what do you think the Trump brand means in this region?
So when you look at the brand, since its inception, it has always been a brand synonymous with exclusivity, luxury, delivery to the customer, enjoyment. And going into a Trump property has always been like going to an event. Not just, having a house or enjoying a round of golf. It's just going to an event. So it's always like an eventful brand that people enjoy.
Yeah, and we've seen it firsthand. How does the partnership work? DAR licenses the Trump name. How does all of that work?
They're a local partner in our region. There's markets that we have tremendous expertise in. There's other markets where it's going to be much harder, right? Culturally, language barriers, type of construction, type of zoning, how you absolutely navigate. So it's really important for us to have a local partner in a region. You come into the Middle East, you want to have the strongest company, and DAR is exactly that, and so it works really well. Our architects, our engineers, our interior designers, our sales team, obviously marketing efforts, media efforts, everything is coordinated. I mean, we're effectively one team, and obviously we're going to operate the properties, we're going to run, we're going to manage every aspect of them, we're going to operate the golf courses, we're going to operate the hotels. But it's great to have that institutional boots on the ground knowledge of who's going to be your best contractor, who's going to be your best civil engineer, who's the best people to bring this to life, because listen, real estate's incredibly local, and so no different than we'd be the best person to do that in a New York or a Miami or a Florida. There's no better company in the world to execute that vision in the Middle East than DAR and Ziad. And Ziad and I have worked together for a long time, a very long time, and I mean it when I say this, the best, the most professional, the most fun, that matters to us, right? I mean, we can do every project in the world. We have the option of doing every project in the world, and we're really, really selective on the projects that we undertake. Very, very few. I don't want to be one of the big brands. I don't want to have 14 hotels in every city. I want to have one, and I want that hotel to be the absolute best. I want to have one golf course, and I want it to be the absolute best in every country. We're about building icons. That's all we want to do. We want to build the most iconic projects anywhere in the world, and that's who certainly Ziad is. That's what DAR is embracing on doing, and that's why I think we're gonna win this race. We're gonna win the race on price per square foot. We're gonna win the race on absolute quality, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, if there's anything you'd like to add to that, because I mean, we had Mr. Trump saying there, you're one team, two strong names. But what sets you apart in this crowded market with all those cranes we were just hearing about?
You see, I want to deviate a little bit from the pure real estate play, because we are embarking this month in particular on something that we've been waiting for years, which is the opening up of the Saudi market for international investment. And when a market opens up, especially after a long time, and you bring into that market an international big brand like the Trump brand, this helps you to market these properties to the globe. And consequently, the real estate developer will move from just being a housing provider or an entertainment project provider to becoming part of the FDI of that country. Because we plan to bring in the 125 nationalities who already deal with us in the other countries in which we operate to Saudi Arabia and become part of the integral evolution of foreign investment in the country.
Right, so you're going to see a whole new demographic of real estate investors, because not only has the stock exchange opened up to foreign investors, also the real estate market, as you say.
Exactly.
Have you got any delivery dates for us for any of the Trump projects here in Saudi Arabia?
So between the Trump Tower in Jeddah, the project we're launching tonight, and even the project we're launching on Monday, everything is going to be delivered by 2030.
And where do you see this partnership at the end of the decade?
I don't see it at the end of the decade. I don't see the end to something that is really working, that is delivering to the markets, to the countries, to the customers. This is a continuous, successful relationship.
I've heard you, Mr. Trump, expressing frustration with the business environment in Europe, and how there's a lot of regulation, a lot of red tape gets in the way. How do you find doing business here in terms of regulation?
Incredible. It pains me to say that. I've got a lot of property in Europe. You know them very well. I've got property in Scotland. I've got property in Ireland. We've got property all over the place. And Europe has lost its way. And my mom was European. I pretty much grew up in Europe. Everything's a no. Everything's a struggle. Everything's difficult. Everything's expensive. Energy. They've lost their energy policy. And everything is incredibly difficult, and it's really, really sad because Europe is an incredible place with incredible people, but everything is difficult when you're developing there. You compare that to the Middle East, you compare that to certainly Saudi Arabia, you compare that to the UAE, you can have a couple people say, yes, that's a beautiful project, that's a smart project, let's get it done. You're not going to have obstructionists that obstruct for no purpose whatsoever, that just don't believe in forward progress. This is a region that looks forward. It doesn't look backward. I think Europe, unfortunately, is a region that so oftentimes looks backward and doesn't look forward. And so I can tell you, building in the Middle East is conducting business is substantially easier than conducting business in Europe. And again, that pains me to say. I'd love nothing more than to have a super easy business environment in Europe. Unfortunately, it just does not exist.
You mentioned Diriyah just a moment ago, and Jerry Inzerillo is, I think, a mutual friend of all of ours. He's a friend of this program, and he teased this possibility of a collaboration with the Trump organization in Diriyah. Have you got any details you could perhaps offer us on that front?
So Jerry's been a friend for many, many years, going back to the casino days in Atlantic City. It's actually funny, I ran into Jerry right here in Saudi on our first trip, just kind of off the cuff. And Jerry's a wonderful guy, and what he's been doing with Diriyah is incredible. And the vision and the master plan is beyond. And I think the leadership of this country deserves a tremendous amount of credit. Very few countries anywhere around the world would take on such kind of a bold initiative and make it happen as quickly as they are. And obviously Jerry is a big part of that. And so Jerry's a friend to Ziad, he's a friend to certainly myself. He's a friend to our entire family. I mean, he's known my father for probably 40 years, and he probably knew me when I was a small little kid running around. And so it's fun to see these worlds link back up on the other side of the globe.
Indeed. We'll have to wait and see what he's got in store and what you've got in store collectively with Diriyah. You've both been exploring real estate tokenization. That's a first, I gather. And just for the benefit of our viewers, that means fractional ownership backed up by a blockchain technology. How did that come about, Ziad?
You see, always with the Trump organization is breaking the paradigms and really starting something that works rather than keep on trying what has never worked. And a lot of companies and a lot of institutions have been toying with tokenization since 2015, and they've been tokenizing assets. And when we had this discussion, it was clear that tokenization of assets does not work because it draws down a very small return. And this is where we came up with the idea of tokenizing at the level of the development itself and involving those investors who are today in this virtual world, in this crypto world, in the development of hotels, where they can earn an IRR or an annual rate of return, which is much more attractive than tokenizing 10 apartments somewhere and earning 1.5% per annum. So this is where we started with the Trump Hotel in the Maldives, which is going to be an amazing property delivered in the next 3 years, and we're tokenizing at the development level, and it's an absolute first, always an absolute first with the Trump organization.
Yeah, and you've worked in blockchain in a previous role, and you're a self-professed crypto evangelist. So no surprise that this initiative came about, perhaps.
Listen, here's the reality of the world. Everything's going to be tokenized. Art's going to be tokenized. Hollywood's going to be tokenized. Commodities, oil, gas, they're going to be tokenized. The way money moves around the financial system is going to be very, very different. It's very different today than it was 3 years ago. And I personally believe you probably won't have the SWIFT system in a 5-year period of time because there's nothing that blockchain can't do better, faster, cheaper, more transparently. You have some of the greatest digital asset classes. Look at Bitcoin, probably the greatest return of any asset class anywhere on earth, about 70% a year on average, year over year. For the last 10-year period of time. You look at the development of stablecoins and the ease of use of stablecoins. This is getting ingrained in people, and so there's no doubt that real estate is going to become tokenized, and that's exactly what Ziad and I are working on in a very big way. The way the financial system interacts is going to change. The way real estate is purchased is going to change. In fact, Ziad and I were the first people, and it made tremendous news. I said, Ziad, do you mind if I go up on stage and say we're going to actually accept cryptocurrency for the purchase of apartments for Trump International Hotel and Tower Dubai at the launch? And I said that. The audience went absolutely crazy. And I think there was more articles about that, and we're the first people to do that.
Yes, there are.
Cryptocurrency is here to stay. Cryptocurrency right now is roughly where the internet was in 98, 99. That's how much growth there is left in it, and it's exploding every day. Obviously, America's leading the way, and frankly, the Middle East is right behind. It's right there. The amount of love for kind of crypto-based projects, blockchain-based projects, is incredible. And last but not least, there's a lot of problems that blockchain solves for real estate. Title. Why can't all title, instead of being done in some title office using antiquated paper, why can't that be done vis-a-vis blockchain? The way the actual money's paid, the way brokers is paid. There's a lot of things that blockchain can do to simplify and actually really enhance real estate, and we plan to exploit a lot of those things.
Okay, we appreciate you sharing that with us, and we appreciate both of you
Thank
talking
you.
to us. We want to keep the conversation going and keep hearing more about successes in the real estate world from both of you. Eric Trump, Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, thank you very much indeed to you.
Thanks
and
for
thank you
having
to you, Ziad Chaar, Chief Executive of DarGlobal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
And finally, improving quality of life and reducing preventable health risks are central to Vision 2030. And with that in mind, we've got some good news to end with. 300,000 people in Saudi Arabia gave up smoking last year. Well, young Saudis are leading the way, quitting earlier than in previous generations. It seems the kingdom is moving towards a future where smoking is not the norm. Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much indeed for watching The Riyal Deal, only here on Al Arabiya English. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, goodbye.